a good amount of tits, but there was no vagina or good ass shots, and there was no penetration. The other goal of this movie. 3 out of 10. Alright, so I'm not going to do this as my Randolf persona, mostly for a personal reason for me watching and reviewing this movie. That is, me being a fan of a podcast called World Class Bullshitters. Obviously. For over a year of listening to these guys, a movie has been brought up a few times since one of the bullshitters, Nick Udom, happens to be a part of it. With an interesting title and an interview video with the director Bob Clark, it of course brought up some interest in me for the final product. So after a failed Indiegogo campaign and a delayed release date from October of 2016 to May 2nd of 2017, the movie Strip Club Massacre was finally released to the public. To give this movie a simple summary without much spoilers, a young woman named Megan, played by Alyssa Watson, pretty much has a shitty day. She loses her job, catches her boyfriend cheating on her with a roommate who uses this as a way to tell her that she has been kicked out. All before the 10-minute mark. With such a day, she stays with a friend who is married to a manager of a strip club named Tease. Needing some money, Megan decides to take a job as a waitress and then a dancer at the club. The film also shows some negative sides of a strip club. No, not the sadness of being in such a situation, but the territorial mentality some strippers can have, and that crazy huge egos can go to such lengths, even for a low status like a stripper.
I got $600 tonight from David in VIP.
Oh my gosh, isn't that your regular?
I guess not anymore.
So, normal stuff. The film slowly gives Megan a shitty existence throughout the film, giving her a crappy time at the club, and other news that just adds straws to the camel's back before the final straw, or rather a hay bale in this situation, breaks it, and Megan goes out to violently right the wrongs people given her throughout the movie. To be quite honest, I'm not the biggest horror fan, at least not anymore. Not because of being scared or anything like that, it's just that a lot of them have become stale, either being about gore and sex, or just being so bland. Bob Clark has stated in his interview that he wanted the film to be more about the story, since most indie horror films is just about tits and gore, with the story taking a backseat. And with that approach, it really works in this movie's favor. While there are still shots of tits and plenty of gore, there were still scenes that remind me why I should give a shit about what's happening. Speaking of, another reason for the lack of interest in horror movies is due to the aspect of shitty leads, either being complete unlikable dickheads or a group of them with one boring member that usually survives in the end. Here, I actually found myself caring for those whom I'm supposed to care about, i.e. Megan. She really feels like a real patient person going through such crap, trying to make the best of it in a way, only for it all to crash down when enough is enough. Yeah, the constant piling of shit was a bit too much at points, especially with the crap about her parents, but it really helps with the whole when a patient person loses their patience kind of aspect I took from the movie. Honestly, Watson does a wonderful job playing it as real as she can. In fact, a lot of the cast was pretty believable and did their jobs well. Yet I will be lying if I didn't say that some of them really tried a bit too hard when it comes to being a dickhole. Like the roommate in the beginning, or at times some of the lackeys of the head stripper, Jazz. One thing I will say about the ending is that I felt like for all the crap Megan takes, the revenge could have been a bit longer with some more punishing and satisfying results. I won't knock the movie down for its production presentation. While it could be better, it is an indie film overall, and even then, it generally looks good and the effects are alright. But I will say that the editing seems a bit off at times, especially at some dialogue moments, like this.
I'm desperate, honestly.
Wow.
I have a job for you.
Or this.
This place is fucking strange. I don't even want Bobby working there. Why the hell would I want you working there?
Tell you what if I just work one night?
Okay. Don't say I told you so.
It is pretty obvious that it's there to cut some dialogue from the scene. Yet I feel like it is more apparent to me since I do that in my own videos, mostly for fuck-ups. Hell, knowing myself, I probably did this in this video too. Another complaint that I have that is more of a nitpick is some of the camera placement. Like scenes where characters are shaking other people's hands and it's off screen. I don't know, it's just a little off to me, but nothing to really derail the movie. And going into other things I found odd would just be me going on and on about video editing nitpicks. So is this movie good or bad? Well, I'll say that it's better than a movie called Club Massacre in this day and age of horror could have been. Good characters, good effects, and an engaging story with an interesting premise. But even with such praise, I have to say that the experience overall is no more than above average. Maybe with a better budget, it would have been higher. But it's still a great first film for a company. If you're a horror lover or like horror in general, I'd have to say rent it via Vimeo or iTunes. And if you like it, go ahead and buy it since it's only $10. I am intrigued about Bob Clark's future films he has planned, definitely after hearing his interview with WCBS and after watching this movie. It honestly feels like a step to bigger and better things, and hopefully they come sooner rather than later. Anyway, thanks for watching. I have links to the interview and places to find Club Massacre in the description if you're interested. Take care, guys. Hey, I'm not done with the video yet. I just want to let everyone know about this site called Incarnate Studios. You haven't heard of them? Well, they're a sponsor for a podcast called World Class Bullshitters. And for a good price, they can supply you with some cool shirts, like the Shitbusters one I have behind me. They have other kinds of shirts based on the world of pop culture, ranging from movies, television shows, and video games, along with some quotes from the podcast itself. Just go to incarnate-studios.com and check it out for yourself, along with the podcast. incarnatestudios.com, and don't forget the hyphen.